Saturday Showdown. T1 versus Hanjin Rio.
Or in terms of the draft, I mean. So we'll see if they look to do that here, given they've gone for second pick, or put more attention towards the support role.
I would really like to see Gen.G draft a lot more reactively. I think that they've had this idea of what the best looks like and then just sort of not cared about what the opposition gets. That sort of bit them last time they went out onto the Rift against HLE. And I'm hoping that they can sort of be aware of the things that they're giving up and being able to then counter appropriately. But starting off pretty well because they banned Rumble. That is a good move.
Yeah. Safe bet. Karma probably going to be another one of the things that gets banned away here. Normally it's that. Varus, Orianna.
Yep. So it could just be a Varus ban to finish it off, and that's sort of very tier-listy.
I mean, what DN Supers could do is they could ban like Nocturne, and then, okay, they just go for the Varus. So I presume Gen.G go for the Orianna here.
Does that mean a Ryze first pick or something like that?
I think the Ryze first pick has kind of fallen out of favor.
Especially when Chovy's most played is Anivia. That's a good point.
Yeah. I was saying they could maybe go for the Nocturne and then ban, and then Gen.G ban Varus, and then they get Orianna first pick, but instead they ban the Varus, so it's just straight up there. Seraphine first pick. So this is a little risky because I think Gen.G are a team who will pick stuff to kill it, to punish it. You know, Dura's had a fantastic Blitzcrank. We know he'll play Pyke as well.
Not to mention they could just pick away the Ashe as well.
You know, that's a question. Will they just pick away the Ashe as a denial? We will see.
You could also, Ashe Jarvan could be an option here. And then you've got the Jarvan on your side. Jarvan obviously is going to be top of the tier list as far as jungle, especially with the Pantheon ban. So this is a bit of a no-brainer. But it's about whether or not they do decide to go for the denial of the Ashe or not.
Yeah, I think very important to make sure you have a good 2v2. Regardless whether you want to deny the Ashe or you want to go for something that punishes. So might want to secure half of that now. If you leave it until after this, the second rotation of bans, might be harder to get your hands on what you need to deal with the Ashe Seraphine.
Let's see exactly what they're going to do. They are taking their time. The Azir going to be locked in for Chovy though. And you can see even the camera guy didn't expect that that would be the pickup here.
So Ashe Seraphine Xin Zhao, super strong trio.
Strong.
Yeah, really strong pickup. You know, we always talk about the healing shielding with Xin Zhao, buffing him up, making him really hard to deal with. You have the engage threats as well when Xin Zhao goes in. One of the things with Xin Zhao is he's not like the best primary engager. You know, his engage is I dash in on you.
Yeah.
But when you have an Ashe Seraphine, you don't need that. So this is such a strong core for DNS already. For
Is it just Jace?
It might just be Jace. That does seem like the sort of thing you'd expect at this point.
Yeah, they can then protect it. It's going to be Nautilus instead.
Okay, so they are grabbing something from the bot lane to make sure that they have something to respond to this Ashe Seraphine, and it is going to be that Nautilus that has pretty consistent engage.
Yep.
The Nautilus dredge line is so hard to avoid. You can't just cleanse it. And does have a lot of threat onto these longer range picks. I think, you know, something like Alistar gets destroyed level 1. Leona, you can just take cleanse into it, and the range isn't as high on the Zenith Blade, but Nautilus has a lot of kill threat. Jace will be banned though, as you kind of expect that. I like the Akali ban. I think Akali Xin Zhao would be so hard to deal with the healing shielding.
And LeBlanc also just protecting Chovy's pick here in this mid lane. I actually kind of like the Nautilus for that reason as well, because if you did lock the Jace, then you'd sort of be forced into Sion and Yorick bans. But instead, they open the floor to that one. Jhin going to be taken away from Ruler as well, I say gleefully. And let's see what Ruler is going to be locking away here. They could secure the bottom lane if they would like to. They can already see the enemy bottom lane face up and then give Keen counterpick. And I would suggest that is what they do. Not a whole lot of easy options. Maybe it's just Ezreal, speaking of easy. Because of course you can just kind of say nope to the lane. But this does it even better, as Ruler going to lock away the Ziggs.
Yeah, so when you have that burst damage, if you land the CC on one of these squishies, you should just hopefully explode them, right? You have the Nautilus and the Jarvan for setup. Does make your composition pretty AP heavy though. You're going to need an AD top laner for sure. Although to be honest, with Rumble gone, that was kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, you're still going to be losing out in terms of priority in the bot lane early on for sure. Get to the point where Ziggs has the mana just to and the damage in his Q just to destroy the waves, though. DN Supers, though, go on the Aurora.
Oh, wait, this could be kind of genius, because maybe Kane wants to play Vayne again, and this time they don't have an AD carry. So maybe it feels even better. And into Renekton.
Yeah, I don't like the Renekton blind here for that reason.
Yeah, you kind of want to. Well, they're going to do it anyway. So Renekton blind, he can play Gnar, and there it is.
Just slams the Gnar. Gnar, Jarvan, pretty strong combo together. So they don't have a traditional AD carry in this situation, but a lot of ways where if they get on top of this backline of the DN Supers, they can't just explode them. I think both teams have ways to punish the opposing backline quite comfortably. Lots of threats, lots of ways to reach them. Could it come down to execution there? I will say, though, there's a lot of early pressure from DN Supers in the bot lane. Might come down to jungle impact. And I want to see Canyon be more proactive than we have before.
Yeah.
You know, if Quantum Duckdown are really overextending, go over these heavy trades and look to punish that. Don't just let them play the 2v2 out without impact.
Yeah, and I also think that they could focus on putting elsewhere on the map ahead as well, right? Let the Ziggs sort of just sit there and clear waves, try not to die, do it more that way. The year of Dudu, it was the first year that we had here in the LCK. And so I guess, yeah, Year of Dudu might just be it. She could be onto something. Let's see whether he's Renekton into Gnar, Keen's Gnar, for that fact. I mean, if he does win this matchup, I'm back on the Year of Dudu hype train.
Yeah.
And I was never really on it, but the years I suggested were not great.
There's been a lot of years coming and going.
Yes.
You know, feels like
my ones have just been going. Maybe Dudu's is going to stick around as it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump onto the Rift for Game 1. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for Game number 1. The DN Supers take on Gen G as Ruler on not an AD carry. It feels like he's not the kind of guy that would do this all that often, but I believe he has kind of brought the Ziggs into his wheelhouse, you could say. You've mentioned wheelhouse before a couple of times.
Yeah, it's what a weird.
It
we
is.
learned so much about
wheelhouses.
Yeah.
I do. I don't have a wheelhouse. Did you know that?
You don't?
No.
Oh, me neither.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd have a wheelhouse. I thought you'd be a wheelhouseman.
No.
Huh. Strange.
Wheelhouseman. I don't.
Is that a person? I wonder if you could ever be a wheelhouseman. That's all right. Canyon going to be starting on his blue buff. That allows him to head towards that top side. Maybe a bit of punishment onto Dudu is in order. As no level 3 gank for the Jarvan bottom lane, though, which is the big thing to look out for. Might take away from said proactivity that we were expecting. But into this lane, do you really want to be ganking early? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah,
it can be a bit risky. Like if they flash out of your CC and then just have the sustained damage. You know, Ziggs is very telegraphed and you're running TP. You don't have the extra combat summoner in comparison. But so far, Closer taking a tower hit. Not ideal for the lane.
I do like that he thumbs up immediately, though.
Yeah.
On taking the turret damage. But isn't going to be great for his laning phase, as we know. Dudu going in, but will be immediately going out once more. Still actually farming quite decently here, as Keen hasn't quite dealt with this wave.
Yeah,
does manage to get the cannon.
The Renekton do pretty good around the early levels, and it's if you can leverage that, that's where you can find a bit of an advantage. Level 6 as well, if you get on top of Mini-Gnar, can be like an all-in potential. But usually as the game goes on, if you haven't especially pressured those windows, the Gnar will just outscale. So a matchup we've seen countless times, top laners be happy to take. And we've seen Gnar be doing really well in the LCK recently.
Yeah, although recently, yes, but also very recently, no.
Yeah.
Because I believe he's on about a 5-game losing streak. But before that, was definitely getting a lot of work done as Chovy is going to take a bunch of damage, but hasn't teleported yet. So he's just going to wander back.
I think people bought into the hype too much, you know, and just started, like, Gnar can't lose.
Yeah.
I think that can sometimes happen where, like, a pick is actually really strong, but because the perception of it is it's really strong, people pick it without the conditions for it to work, which makes it not as strong.
Yeah, we've seen that with a lot of different things.
I mean, Rise is a great example, you know?
Yep. As Chovy just wanders away.
Rise is really strong, but if you just blind it and they counter it, not so great.
and you just get a Nivea'd. I feel like a Nivea really did come out as a big counter as well. Having a look at the replay towards top side,
you do have
flash
to
out.
flash, yep, due to that gang. So good angle there from Canyon. Unfortunate start to the year of Dudu in this game.
Yeah. But that was a good slice, so we're back on. Beautiful. Canyon.
Oh, that hook shot missed.
Oh, yeah, not actually able to see the Jarvan. As Duro looked for the angle, Canyon shows himself. As the heal does come out, the flash has to be used. Canyon deciding not to follow. And they're just going to get on to Quantum here as well. Gets his flash at the same time. They drop the beat. Canyon is just happy to dance.
Getting both flashes is still a massive boon there. But I think, honestly, Doctam and Quantum, well, Doctam in particular, played that about as well as he could, given how terrible the conditions were at the start of that.
Yeah.
In fact, you hawk shot the enemy jungle, and then you end up missing where Canyon actually is. In hindsight, you know, they already had a ward in the tri-brush. Maybe should have sent it down the river instead. But obviously, we have full information and hindsight to give the sort of extra insight into what he should have done. Ultimately, they managed to evade it, but it was pretty close.
I was expecting Canyon to do the follow flash, but he decided not to.
The reason he didn't was because there were minions in the way. So if he follow flashed, Duro wasn't going to be able to really immediately follow up, because Duro had already committed his flash. So I think that was why he didn't go for it, which is why I think Doctam waiting until he got to the minions was pretty big. So
Chovy sidestepping basically everything there, as he does hit level 6. So does Keen, as we can see there, by pressing his R button that he just newly got available. Misses the house, though. Bit weird when you try to hit like a little minion with a house and you miss. Cannon, 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 cannon. Nailed it.
I do feel like I've never seen anyone throw a house precisely.
No, neither have I.
Seems pretty difficult.
Yeah. Keen just did it, though, and missed. So that's the sample size I've got for you.
Yeah, well, it seemed seemingly a little unprecisely.
All right. Chovy and Canyon now just going to return to the flashless bottom lane as Pioshik is there, gets hooked by Duro, who just flashes in. The wind becomes lightning, but Pioshik might become dead as the Emperor's Divide is flashed really nicely, and he keeps himself alive for now. In goes Chovy, though, with those shifting sands, and I don't think Pioshik's making it out of this one. One more auto is going to be required as the flash does come in, and Chovy's going to be able to lock down the kill. In the meantime, Keen about to hit Mega, but Dudu has the Dominus rolling. There's the wallop. Let's see whether Dudu's actually going to win this one out. Dominus is extraordinarily strong. And remember, no flash for Dudu, flash available for Keen. And I don't know, does he have to use it? That's the question, as he does flash away right as Dudu gave up.
Yeah, I think he was just holding it for as long as he could, but just didn't trust the last second and just didn't want to get solo killed in the moment. A close one there. Dudu showing the power that you get from having that ultimate available, and Keen's still not there. I think the thing with Nas, you often just throw your ult off cooldown.
Yeah.
It's up so frequently, but did leave him exposed in that window. Here, Pioshik was kind of just dead because so many enemy opponents were around him. But he did make them commit a lot of time, and Chovy having to commit his flash is a pretty big pickup considering.
Yeah.
Like, I saw him get engaged and was like, oh, he's just dead, but he managed to buy a good amount of time and get an extra summoner from Chovy at least, so.
Yeah, forced the flash trade. So obviously invested his flash to try and escape, but getting Chovy's flash as a result, certainly high value. Having a look though, slight gold advantage here for Gen G. And Chovy is the one with the lead, which is a little bit of a problem. Dudu laning very well though. Perhaps it is his year to go back to that fan sign. But we'll see whether he can capitalize on the flash being down here from Keen. Aggressive satchel here as Quantum then has to walk over the minefield. That was beautifully done. Duro just not quite able to hit the anchor and elects not to auto-attack, so Ruler is able to pick up the kill as the arrow connects onto Chovy in the mid lane. When did that even get thrown out? As Chovy does manage to shift the sands to get out. Closer just with not enough burst damage to lock down the kill.
Yeah, I think unfortunately Closer had used his basic abilities, had his ult, of course, but didn't have the full combo to hit on a Chovy there.
I'm wondering how that arrow would have happened, because they were like killing the Seraphine. Did Doctam like try and throw it at Duro?
This was a great satchel, by the way, like perfectly to knock it back. Max value there. And they got the kill.
Oh yeah, Doctam just ran up and just threw an arrow at Chovy.
Yeah. I was like, well, I'm not using this bot lane.
Yeah, kind of cute.
Did just see a play come out mid. And Closer got chunked down, but, you know, being Aurora, still managed to evade the play. But does mean that Gen G get control off these grubs. We did see one picked up by Pyoshik.
Yeah, Ruler trying to offer some damage back here. Gets the satchel, double value.
This is some great Ziggs play.
Yeah.
The earlier satchel to knock Quantum back, and then that defensive satchel to split them away.
Yeah, we don't often see the Engatchel.
Yeah.
The Engage Satchel is pretty...
Well, actually, what we often see in the LCK is the poke satchel.
Yeah.
Because I just throw it at you and do like 20 damage and then die immediately after. So I like that he's actually using it for the displacement aspect of it, which is actually the main component of this ability.
Weird.
Yeah, surprisingly, it feels like a lot of our Ziggs players don't appreciate that, but...
You're speaking with a lot of emotion in your voice.
Am I?
Yeah.
Suspicious.
It's just an observation. I don't know what it means, but it does seem like you are somewhat emotionally invested.
Perhaps a little bit.
Yeah, just somewhat.
Yeah.
So 1-0-1 for Ruler as a result of using the satchel correctly.
Yeah, and also picked up the Ludens, no tier board. You know, he's going to be pumping some damage out in this game.
Especially when he can build an extra item, which is kind of scary because I feel like Ziggs uses items quite effectively.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was something when the new quest came out. A lot of people talked about mages getting good value from it.
Yep.
I know mage solo queue win rate has always been really high in the bot lane, but it's continuing to be really high with the quest because a lot of people were like,
Oh. Well, I have a feeling he'll need to a Disengatchel. But instead, he throws it at the turret.
Yeah.
Because the rest of Gen G were making their way down. They did get half the health bar out of Ruler, but there just wasn't enough damage out of the DNS bottom lane.
Yeah, ended up using the flash to get away from that one. Still had the satchel in pocket, so I think chance of him actually dying there was pretty low, but had to commit to summoner to get out. But will stay safe. Greeting for plates, which honestly, every Ziggs has done that.
Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
We respect it. As teleport to come in from said Ziggs.
His ult up in 5
Back
seconds.
down. Exactly right. As Pyoshik goes in, Cataclysm is down there as well as they get into the Crescent Guard to try and kill Pyoshik as Duro might be in a bit of trouble. Oh, the anchor just barely misses. Good flash there from Pyoshik. Mega Inferno Bomb isn't enough, and it's the Ash that takes down the kill onto Duro. Canyon gets himself out of there with the Flag and Dragon. Ruler is already out of dodge as well, utilizing the satchel effectively. As Keen spacing very nicely here against Dudu on the top side, although the flash forward, that one's hard to be spaced, as anyway, does manage to land another boomerang to slow down the Crocodile, who invested the ulti.
Yeah, Keen's flash just came up now, so didn't have that quite available when he got flashed on, but, you know, is now safe for many other plays. And I think happy with getting a flash advantage there. This play was kind of crazy, because they jump in, as Pyoshik does, and it's kind of like a change places situation.
Yeah.
You know, the Cataclysm in, and then Pyoshik ends up outside of it. And it's also really awkward for Ziggs, because to hit the Xin, you have to be inside his ult, which you don't want to be. Yeah, Pyoshik close to dying, but moves to the outer ring of the ult, so takes less damage. Still very close, but end result is a 1-for-0. The DNS Supers, which they are happy about.
And if Ruler had the Comet off cooldown, he would have killed him. That's sort of how much Pyoshik survived on. So well played there. It did die in that mid lane, but was able to help grab the kill there on that bottom side. That puts DNS on the board. There is a Hextech Dragon up and available now. Gen G got the first one in an Infernal. As it has been started, Nox, I'm going to need you to apply as much concentration as possible. Okay. As Pyoshik went down to 12 HP. I think Comet could have taken care of that.
Yeah, I think so. Close.
Yep.
Level 9 for Ziggs now, a big spike when you have your Q maxed.
-1.
And he can kind of just one-hit the waves
This
pretty easily.
Sorry, this is the day of missed cannons, as at least Dudu gets his, and actually circumvents the wallop quite nicely. Sorry, continue your point.
Does eat the house.
Oh, sorry. Chovy's going to go in, pushes Pyoshik out of the way. Great Crescent Guard, but the Cataclysm is there to answer. Chovy has to flash to get himself out of the way, and it's actually Quantum that's able to help lock him down. The arrow from downtown is going to secure Canyon as well, as Closer dancing around the battlefield. Not able to get too much more, but it's a great couple of kills to go over to DNS, and they only trade Pyoshik for it.
Yeah, this is kind of the value of that Seraphine backing up the Xin Zhao, helping you stay alive for that much longer. I also think it's funny that you saw it pop up on the screen, both Canyon and Chovy bought Merctrex.
Yep, at exactly the same time.
Immediately after that play, like, yeah, maybe this is a high value buy. Yeah, I would agree. A lot of CC to come through, but I think just the fact that Pyosik can go in aggressively, get that extra effective HP, survive that much longer, and honestly, the fact that his ult timed out as Ruler's ult connected was kind of fortuitous timing for Gen G there. So we'll see in this situation, Pyosik gets engaged on ults to disengage Canyon, gets jumped on again, then the ult times out a little bit before, so that was a bit of time. But then Closer dodges away from the dredge line, gets the play on a Canyon and able to clean it up, so
Closer actually playing that absolutely beautifully. Dodged the Empress Divide the first time around and then the Anchor the next time. Still looks like Gen G are going to get priority on this Dragon, but DNS are in the area. There's the Anchor to start up this fight as they're looking for Quantum to start this one. Doesn't quite have the Encore up and available just yet as Chovy looking to get himself out of the way of Pyosik, who looks to engage instead on top of Canyon. Gets the knock up as he makes his way out, but it looks like this Dragon should go over to DNS as a result. Still, it is going to reset, so they do require a fair bit more damage as there's the Emperor's Divide, pushes Pyosik back, has another Crescent Guard, but there's the Cataclysm to put down the Xin Zhao. Just overstayed his welcome as Quantum is going to survive, but they're looking a little worse for wear. No smite, and that should be double Dragon over to Gen G.
And Chovy actually just gets so much value in that fight, kind of standing in this really aggressive position, but just kind of skill checks the entirety of DN Supers. But I'm looking for a little bit more.
Arrow.
Doesn't connect.
He was trying to hit the turret with it as Ruler. He's going to take a lot of damage here, but is going to survive for now. Dodged one ability, and that is going to allow him to live.
Still had Flash in pocket and was just like, you know what, I'm good. But yeah, I think Chovy actually got such an insane amount of value in that fight by kind of just standing in the face of DNS. Because we see the initial play, ends up with the engage not really working. Pyosik forces Canyon away here, and he ends up chunked, so he has to back up. But then Chovy holds his position.
Yeah.
And he's getting damage down. Closer tries to clear him off, but doesn't connect the skills. He then shoves Pyosik in, so he ends up dying. And that's the point where DNS go, oh, we don't have a jungle anymore. The poke is coming through. We actually have to back off. A very confident play for the Gen G mid laner, and just relying on his mechanical skill to dodge enough skill shots so they win the engagement.
He absolutely did. Bouncing bombs now flying out here from Ruler, utilizing that Ludens quite effectively. And you can see these waves do just kind of explode now. So it doesn't need to worry too much about taking any trades or anything like that.
And he's going the Shadow Flame second.
That's a lot of damage.
This is going to be the one-shot ult damage.
Aggressive satchel. A Gratchel. Not what you want to see. It's okay. He's going to play it safe. Keen down here towards his bottom side, getting the shove in, does have his Trinity Force done now, and a decent advantage as Chovy gets engaged on once again, has his Empress Divide, uses it, and the Encore, this time a little bit late there from Quantum to be able to lock down the Pigeon.
Yeah, good move there to push the Xin Zhao away from you before trying to dash so you don't get interrupted. That is some damage from the Ziggs coming through.
Ruler is doing work on the Ziggs.
Yeah, honestly, I think an Oblivion Orb pickup would also be good. You know, obviously it does delay your damage a bit, but there's a lot of healing on the side of the DN Supers, and Ziggs pretty good.
Yeah.
Spreading out multiple targets. So either him or Chovy, to be honest, should pick that up, I would think.
I'm helping, says the Ziggs, as Canyon is able to lock down the Rift Herald. It should be used to grab that first turret of the game.
Also, Durago Mikhail's Fist, which, you know, we've seen this many times before in engaged supports, but not as much recently, I would say. But definitely respecting the Ash Arrow and the Encore potential.
Yeah.
Available here for picks.
I feel like Duro has been in pretty good position to use it as well, is often where the action is. As Keen throws out another ulti because he can. And we'll just continue to throw minion waves into this turret. And I feel like the use-by date on this Renekton is starting to come up. That's what it's kind of feeling like right now.
It's going to have less fun, you know.
Yeah.
Year Duty's getting kind of towards, like,
it's getting
November.
Yeah.
Putting the Christmas decorations up. Halloween's gone.
Yeah, at least, you know, Christmas is a time to look forward to. So, never mind. He's not looking forward to anything right now. The arrow is going to connect, though. Never mind. Maybe he's looking forward to hanging out with a dead Gnar under the turret. However, they do just walk it off as there was no one else coming.
You know,
Still, Dudu survives.
The arrow was kind of like a Christmas present, but Unfortunately, not enough to get a kill on the back of it, but, you know, he will, for now, live for another day. Goes out the wave, should be fine.
Yeah, does have now the backup of the rest of his team making their way in. As Ruler will just wander back towards his mid lane. And Dr. Arm doing his very best to match the wave clear of a Ziggs. And his very best is nowhere near enough because it's just kind of ludicrous the amount Ruler can destroy with only a couple of bombs.
Yeah.
It's just only 1,000 gold lead.
It's just funny seeing the Ashe work so hard, putting all these autos in, loading so many arrows. Just the lazy nature of the Ziggs throwing, just tossing a bomb out without a second thought.
Every now and again. And then a minefield. As Trophy will take a bit of damage here from Closer, but the shoes that he's wearing, putting in a fair bit of work to keep him alive in these exchanges. And Keen up towards the top side. So things slowing down.
But there is Dragon in 45. It is a Cloud Soul as well.
It's a nice one.
Movement speed, pretty big in this game.
I do feel like the DNS Supers would absolutely love Cloud Soul.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Problem is they are a fair way away from it, as now Dudu decides to go in at exactly the wrong time, has to flash, get out of the way of Keen and Canyon. Those slows would have kept racking up, and it would have been very, very difficult to get out of the way. However, Keen does transform and will be able to take down this first turret of the game. Rift Herald still hasn't been used yet, by the way, so they take first turret, and they still have Shelly for potentially this fight here around the Dragon. Yeah,
I mean, we saw last series the value of a Herald in fights. You don't need the Herald for taking towers, really, because you have a Ziggs, and that tower mid will be gone. True. The 2 quick towers picked up by Gen G. Unfortunately, they don't get to spend all the gold they picked up, but they have some decent item spikes with the Ziggs on Luden Shadowflame. They have the Combat Herald ready to go. This is good setup for them, and they have control of the river as well. Ult comes in with a poke, but it misses.
Yeah, that does get rid of Quantum, I guess, but they're not actually. He's able to regroup very comfortably. So Mega Inferno Bomb now on cooldown for this next fight as Keen spotted on a flank angle as well. Minefield does go down, and there is that Battle Herald that you were talking about. Let's see whether they're going to be able to utilize it. There's the Mikhail's value to come on through from Duro as well, as it is going to be a Drake secured by Pioshik, but now Canyon driving the Herald in, doesn't manage to land a knock-up onto Closer and to Quantum, but doesn't get the flag and drag as Pioshik has been separated. Crescent Guard in the back of the pit as he flashes away. Keen now has to deal with Dudu as Ruler is looking to try and back him up, but Keen flashes to get out of the way. And now there is a minefield that has been put down. Dredgeline connects onto Dudu. Does get a charged up Q, but he had nowhere to go. No flash and no escape as Chovy looks to go in. And Closer is able to walk it off. So it is just 2 kills over to Gen G in exchange for the Dragon. Maybe not end of the world. However, they'll lose this outer turret bottom lane as well, and that gold lead will extend.
Yeah, unfortunately for DNS Supers, it's just the one Dragon that they have. So even though they denied the soul point, they still don't get much of a swing in their favor. This arrow is pretty good. The Mikhail's comes through where they kind of zone away Gen G a good amount here. Problem is this Combat Herald comes in. I feel like it's so strong with Jarvan because it means you can get in without losing any health. You then still have your follow-up engage. And Quantum ends up ulting very late, trying to find a better angle, but the charm only lasts as long as you do, so it just doesn't really do anything. Here, Dudu is in this aggressive position, but Keen flashes out and he doesn't want to go any further, so he just ends up dying in the pit. I think, honestly, he should have... Knowing that he didn't have flash, I think maybe he should have just committed to the play.
Yeah.
But the end result is Gen G just further ahead. Still ahead in Dragons, despite the fact that DNS got the last one. The 3,600 goal is a sizable lead. And if you look at the spread between lanes, everyone has a slice of the pie, apart from Duro. And, I mean, Duro doesn't really need that much gold.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about it. On top of everything as well, actually, production has just told us that Chovy and Ruler were both sitting on a bunch of gold heading into that fight. Same can be said for Closer. And now on a reset is Chovy with a now full dash cannon and blighting jewel completed. And Ruler has that shadow flame and blighting jewel for himself as well.
Oh.
And it's going to get more and more difficult because Gen G still managed to win the fight, even without spending that money.
I think that's the thing is that, you know, they took that mid tower and they were sitting on, like, I expect they were sitting on a fair bit of gold, but they were sitting on a lot, clearly. To try and prioritize the tower before the Dragon. It was a risky thing to do, but it did manage to work out, and now they just are so far ahead. Picking up that tower, that tier 2 in the top lane as well, now at a 5,000 gold lead. You know, Void Staff's going to be coming in soon for Chovy and Ruler. and there's not even that much magic resist on DN Supers, so to already have the Void Staff there, you're still getting good value from just like the pen on your base magic resist, but it just means that even if you do try and pick up magic resist, you're just not getting much.
Yeah, just
from
feels
it anyway.
bad to even buy anything, looking to try and mitigate the damage that Ruler and Chovy are going to be doing.
I mean, especially when you have like the Shadow Flame, Stork Shoes, Void Staff, like the percentage pen and the flat pen is just, you do so much damage.
And they also do damage to these structures as well, as it is a Ziggs. Canyon was just looking for a bit of an angle towards Closer, who does manage to sidestep it, but it's still a fair bit of damage he takes on the return. And the DN Supers are now just kind of milling about, trying to work out where they want to be on the map. Genji with a whole lot of priority sort of everywhere right now.
Yeah, and I think this Mikhail's buy also just adds so much value, because so much of the engage from DN Supers is down to like throw an Ash Arrow.
Yeah.
But as long as Duro is in the vicinity, that just doesn't function. You know, you remember that last Dragon fight, it kind of opened with a arrow and a Chovy that was just negated, so...
And there's not, it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of clear follow-up after that. They are sort of relying on that arrow to really be impactful. Void Staff now done as Ruler hits 3 items. That is a pretty dangerous first 3 items. If he gets Rabadon's next, my goodness, the amount of damage potential on the Ziggs.
Yeah.
Extraordinarily high.
That's what you want. And I think for DNS, they need to try and find a way to set up vision, which is difficult because Quantum has to ward and he's very squishy. But if you can get Dudu and Closer approaching from like a flank on the side, that's where it can really work well. Because then you're not pressured as much to get huge value out of like the Ash Arrow. The Encore can get a huge amount of value. You can threaten the Ziggs and the Z on the back line. I think if they just run straight at them, they're going to struggle. Ziggs doesn't do that much damage because the shielding.
Just softening them up. Yoshik actually taking a fair bit there. The satchels are sort of flying out from off the screen.
Yeah, honestly, the Nod doing a decent amount of poke too.
Yeah. Throwing houses in there. As the arrow is going to connect onto Canyon. There's another Mikhail's.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you were talking about. What has a longer cooldown, arrow or Mikhail's at this stage of the game? As Closer face checks. Not sure about that one, as Chovy will get engaged on here by Pyoshik. Emperor's Divide is going to come on through to get rid of him. And that is going to be the end of that one. Shifting Sands, pretty powerful.
It is Mikhail's has a long cooldown, I believe.
It should at this stage of the game, definitely, right?
Yeah.
As Dudu will now get walloped. And now Closer looking for a bit of an engage angle, but Duro holds him in position. There's the Gnar, throws the Aurora into the wall, but he might pay for that one with his life. The flash in from Dudu as well, who looks to try and take down Chovy, gets the shield from the Shifting Sands, and the Cataclysm will take down the Crocodile. Still, the answering kills are going to be there as Duro goes down. Keen and Canyon are both dead, and the DN Supers might get themselves a Drake.
They find the fight they needed. You know, Knockdown doesn't get threatened. The backline gets to push forward. We finally get that value we're looking for here. This fight started off with a really high value ultimate from Closer. Ruler's already super chunked, and you're a Ziggs, so you can play from a distance, but just immediately has that pressure on the enemy team. Dudu getting both of those flashes out. And I think, you know, it's feeling a bit more like his year. Even though he didn't go down, he sets up for the rest of the team to push forward.
Yeah, that was all on Dudu there. Being able to get in there. Avoids a 1v1 with Keen once again, and then just goes straight for the squishies. So you can see that gold lead taking a dent. Genji.
So,
okay.
Ash Arrow's always lower cooldown than Mikhail's.
Oh, no matter what. Okay.
Yeah, no matter what. So it's 120 is the base Mikhail's. Ash Arrow's 100 at rank 1.
Well, there you go.
So if you just fire them off on cooldown, eventually he won't have Mikhail's.
Remember when support Ash was the thing as well? And then like Arrow was even on a shorter cooldown? You could probably get 2 in before the Mikhail's is back off.
Actually, if you get to level 16, then it is 60-second cooldown. So you
hey, there you go.
Even with no ability haste, you can just get 2 in.
Love that. All right, well, let's see whether Docdom is just going to continue throwing them out. Does have 3 items for himself now completed, as we see him on screen right here. But there's that Oblivion Orb that you were talking about. Ruler has now that one picked up. I hope he doesn't finish a Morellonomicon. I hope he really does just build a cool hat, because Ziggs really likes wearing hats, I'm pretty sure.
And that's the nice thing about having the extra item slot, is you can buy an Oblivion Orb and still go like Rabadons and then you know, your last item's like a flex. Yep. You build around little very last item.
Pioshik might be going down here, but the Crescent Guard getting a whole lot of value as Dudu makes his way in. There's a nice stun on a Canyon, and he just goes down. Closer goes between worlds, but Chovy immediately follows him. Doesn't quite do enough there as the Encore is going to get rid of him. Emperor's Divide is going to hit onto only Pioshik, but that's going to be enough to get the kill. And now Chovy able to walk over the wall, gets the shifting stance, but misses the combo and is unable to make his way out. Duro now going to hold Dudu in position as Keen wants to be able to chase after them. Would like to be mini-Nar and does manage to get it now. As these hyper procs getting very annoying. The beat drop is going to miss. Sidesteps beautifully here, but is still not able to catch up. And in the meantime, Ziggs is zigzing.
Yeah, just playing the minigame, getting the plates, getting the towers. Gen G's still really far ahead, but you're seeing these fights, starting to see the core of this Ashe, Seraphine, Xin Zhao getting a lot of value. The engage comes in, but Pioshik pops the ultimate, gets a ton of healing and shielding, and survives for a very long time. The split comes in before the Ziggs ult achieves anything, and then Chovy ends up in a bit of an awkward position, gets clipped by the Encore. You know, Keen does just one-shot Down with Ruler's help, but then Chovy makes a bit of a mistake here and goes down to Dudu.
Yeah, doesn't quite get the combo to work out.
It's been a pretty chaotic game.
It certainly has.
Not the clean, calm, collected. Again, this is not the Gen G we've seen in years past or even in the LCK Cup. But they still have a gold lead right now. It's 2 minutes until the next dragon, but Baron's still on the cards, and a lot of summoners burned. You know, Dam doesn't have his flash up yet. There's still a lot of flashes down. They are coming up in time for that next dragon, but there might be a window if you see someone overstep right now.
Yeah, there's also Baron to watch out for. There is a lot of Baron damage on both sides, but I'm looking at Chovy there, being able to do a whole lot. As Gen G are teleporting in, looking to take this. That is a very high value ward. Yeah, they also get a Hawk Shot and a Scrying Orb, so yes, DN Supers know that this is happening. However, can they stop it in time? As there's a teleport in from Dudu. That might be what they're looking for, as Pioshik moving on over as well. They get a stun onto Duro as well, as he might need to get himself out of there. The depth charge does come on through, but doesn't really do anything at all. And now DNS have control of the pit. Gen G may have just gifted them. A Baron is in, they go! And Pioshik still secures the objective. There's the Encore onto 2 as well, as Dudu is running amok in the fight. Down will go Keen though, and Dudu just walks it off. 2 for 1, DNS take the Baron! Just a great smite from Pioshik, and Gen G just feeling like, oh, we can comfortably go for the Baron. What's the threat? The threat is they engage on you. They just kill your support, they secure the Baron. Take mid-tier 1 as well, and suddenly that gold lead feeling a lot less secure for Gen G right now. Yeah, Chovy was thinking about going for an angle, but could not quite find it there. And so let's have a look at this one more time. It did kind of feel like Gen G just gave DN Supers a Baron.
Yeah, Duro's trying to play bouncer, but he's the one person out of this trio who are in the pit who can't get out easily. You know, Canyon and Chovy can't easily disengage, and then Canyon's like, hey, I'll just go back in and win the 50-50. Well, Pioshik says no. Secures the smite, ults to try and buy time. He gets jumped on, but his encore value is just massive. And they manage to pick up the Gnar. Unfortunately for DNS, they don't get the GA from Canyon, but still just a ton of value.
Yep. And he just says, let's do it slowly. And that is precisely what they're going to do. However, Gen G, that is going to be the secure on the Dragon. It was a closer making his way in there, who does go between worlds.
Yeah, defensively ulted there, a little bit panicked.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd one, as now Darm on a flank angle. Keen was also trying to do the same thing as Dudu's chasing after him. This late game Renekton has been getting so much work done, as Chovy is now in a position to do damage, and the DN Supers are on the wrong side of the map. Kind of awkward, but they do have Baron still running, and they can just beeline towards this inner turret. Look to try and take that one down. The standing gold on the map here, by the way, for the DN Supers is kind of obscene. It's 7 turrets to 1 right now.
Yeah, it's a bit absurd. They really want to get value out of this Baron. I think they need to play through the side lanes where there is so many towers up and available. But, you know, they've just sent Closer back to deal with that top wave. That needs to be pushed in. And the bot wave, Keen is there now. So, I don't know how much value they're actually going to get on the back of this Baron in terms of pushing. They already have a huge Baron power play, but that's kind of been down to the gold they got, you know, from the fight. They got that mid-tier 1. But in terms of taking more structures, like the hope would be you get the Baron, you've only taken, you know, 1 turret, you can get a ton more. It does not look like that is going to happen.
No. Having a look at the damage dealt, though, Ruler is in a great spot this game. Now has his Rabadon's Death Cap completed. Have to find out what his next item is going to be. He's kind of covered all the bases as far as the good ones. Maybe a Zhonya's, maybe something a little bit more defensive could be an option. But we'll see what exactly he decides to do. Banshees might also be good, given the pretty front-loaded nature of the CC. Things like the Arrow.
Could also go like Storm Surge if you just want to have maximum bomber damage. Horizon Focus also.
Kind of annoying that it's going to be Storm Surge in the game as well as Storm Raider's Surge in the game.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit frustrated about that. Great hook from Duro here, who immediately takes a massive arrow to the face and will just be taken down. Dudu getting into that backline once again. The knock-up in between getting swept back as he survives for such a long time. Quantum down low, but they take out Keen, and Dudu, he's got a Guardian Angel. He's just fine. And the DN Supers lose no one. Take out Duro, take out Keen, and now they have priority on the map.
Yeah, pretty hectic fight there. Ruler getting a ton of damage down, but just no real killing power to cut through anyone apart from that GA. DNS now going to be looking to get some of that gold on the map in the form of those towers.
This game is slowly but surely falling out of Gen G's hands, as Dudu going to take another turret here on this top side of the map. That will be secured. Let's have a look at this one more time.
So the Nautilus is just paper, honestly. Like, you go in onto the Xin Zhao, but the Xin Zhao pops ultimate, and so he won't die. The Nautilus just gets obliterated. I think Keen goes in to try and set this play up. The ult from the Ziggs so much, but unfortunately, the Nautilus isn't able to do enough on its own in the backline, and Gen G can't find more.
Doctarm has some items now as well.
Yeah, he's pumping, you know, and he has that consistent damage that Gen G are kind of lacking.
Yeah. Chovy has his Zhonyas now, so he can go for more of these big plays. We've seen him positioning aggressively, but the DN Supers now have a kill lead, and the gold lead is gone. This is kind of crazy how extraordinarily close a late game between the DN Supers and Gen G are.
I will say, there is no flash on Doctarm, no defensive items. Dragon's in a minute and a half. If I'm Gen G, I'm just looking at the Ashe, and I'm like, we're going to Cataclysm, we're going to Zigzag, we're going to one-shot the Ashe, I'm going to take the Dragon and have that extra win condition. That is my game plan at this point. Because I think if they lose the Ashe, they lose a lot of power. Because I think Keen has been struggling in some of these fights because Doctarm can just shred him, can just cut through him like butter. So we'll see.
Canyon has 4 items completed. There's also double recurve bow from Keen. That's fun. Not quite sure what it means, but I like it. I respect it. He's like, I want to
attack fast.
Hit faster.
Yeah.
Or I like bows and arrows, and I couldn't decide which one in the shop I liked more.
Okay, we got the Morale Nomicon completion. I think, honestly, I think it's fine at this point just to have an item completion rather than be sitting on components. We do have 30 seconds on that Dragon.
DN Supers.
I think it's all about Doctarm. He has to be the focus. No flash. You have a Jarvan.
There's also 10 seconds on Baron as well. So the DN Supers could try and pull Gen G across the map. Keen, not really interested in that, as you can see, here towards the bottom side. But Doctarm and Pyosik, they should be able to duo this if they wanted to. But Canyon moves on in, gets the vision. Dudu is now going to get discovered. Or is he the one that discovers Canyon? As Ruler off to the side as well. It's a decent angle for the Ziggs. Minefield still available as well, as the arrow is going to connect onto Duro. I'm not exactly sure whether that means anything at all. It's Keen just throwing around these boomerangs. They did get the teleport out from this knob. In goes Duro once again. A Crescent Guard comes out one more time, but the Aurora goes down and they've taken down Doctarm. This time, Gen G will find the fight. As Pyosik just looking to try and escape. He's still got GA, holds on to that, but Dudu might be in trouble as Canyon gets in range. There's the flash. One more flag and drag will do it, although the slice comes out first. And so they might just take a inhibitor, then look for a soul, or maybe just look for the game. Is Pyosik going to catch the wave? There is one Siege minion that will be taken down here as Chovy goes in, finds both with the Emperor's Divide, and it's Ruler locks down the kill. With the backdoor bonus, taking down this turret is extraordinarily difficult, but they're just going to do it anyway. Canyon takes it down, the Satchel's going to secure it, and there goes the Nexus. It was a cute play, pulling the minion wave, but it didn't work.
Just some of that team fight excellence in them, but this is still a struggle for them. This is still a hard-fought game to get this singular game victory in this series. You can see from the goal graph, it was kind of all over the place. Ruler with 48,000 damage. Yeah, you know, he built some good items.
He certainly did. But you can see the goal graph is not Gen G-esque. That's not what it's supposed to look like. The majority of the time, certainly a lot more wavy than expected.
이거 그냥 쫓아오면 돼.
노플.
이게 있죠.
어차피 미드 하나 더 들어오고.
짜르핀 노공이요. 야 끝내상 가자. 끝내상
싸워
가자.
얘네
야,
높이야.
어째 대포 살리면 끝날 것 같아.
야, 이거 싸워가 딜라인 끝난다. 이거 그냥 얘네 잡고 게임 안 끝날 수도.
지금 한번 쳐볼래요 이거?
아,
오케이. 지금
할만해.
야 식스라서 해볼 생각 해보자.
끝난 것 같은데.
싸워 노플. 끝났다. 나이스.
나이스.